General, and we're going to have a conversation with him about the AAU and specifically the AAU TV. Professor Ehile, you are most welcome to the AAU TV and the AAU Talks show.
Thank you, madam.
I would like you to explain briefly what is AAU, what is its mission?
Thank you, madam. Once again, the Association of African Universities, AAU, is a non-governmental, non-for-profit organization established by universities of Africa since 12 November 1967 to promote cooperation among the universities and with the international academic community as well.
Wow. So AAU is 50?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
AAU is now 51 years.
Oh, congratulations.
We celebrated the Golden Jubilee last year, in June last year.
Oh, congratulations,
Thank
Prof.
You,
yes.
you.
And then what is AAU TV about?
AAU TV, before getting to AAU TV, let me give you the vision of AAU and the mission of the AAU. The vision of the AAU is to be the lead advocate of higher education in Africa with the capacity to provide tools to its members to run the universities.
Okay.
And the mission is to permanently try to enhance the quality and the relevance of higher education in Africa.
Very, very, very important.
This also to contribute to the development of Africa. And you can see that since 51 years, we still feel into the Agenda 2063 of African Union.
Certainly. Now, can we come back to AAU TV? What are we hoping to achieve?
Yes. I think the main criticism made to the Association of African Universities is the lack of what do you say that? The lack of visibility.
Yes.
The lack of monitoring AAU's impact over the year in all Africa.
Okay.
And we think that AAU TV is one solution among others to fill this gap.
Yes.
And the television will provide a platform, a huge platform for all stakeholders of higher education to share information, to disseminate information, information which are generated by higher education institutions themselves. And like I said, for the mandate of AAU, the AAU is the voice of higher education. So the TV AAU will be the voice of higher education. It will also provide a voice to the voiceless.
Certainly.
And finally, AAU television will bring out the issues of higher education. Not only that, but will bring out, will bring together some experts to come and digest these issues and make a recommendation and make also suggestion for action.
So do you have a call to the member universities, to the different stakeholders? What's your message to them? What must they do in order to participate? And
I think that AAU television came timely. And this is the television of higher education stakeholders, including academic staff, students, partners, etc., etc. all these stakeholders should support AAU television and partake into AAU activities.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Ehile. Thank you, viewers. We will be with you in the next show for the AAU TV. Specifically the AAU TV. Professor Ehile, you are most welcome to the AAU TV and the AAU Talks show.
This is the AAU TV, the voice
I would
of
like you to explain briefly what is AAU.
In an African university, what exactly are the tips that a vice chancellor should know? What are the key issues in the implementation of e-learning such that it becomes very successful? And what are some of the various tools and all of that? Joining me for this very important discussion is Ms. Nodumo Dlamini. She is the Director of ICT Communications and Knowledge Management at the Association of African Universities. Ms. Nodumo has over 25 years of experience in the field of ICT, 10 of which she spent at the African University implementing technology for teaching and learning. She's with us here, like I said, and we would go to her. Welcome, Ms. Nodumo Dlamini.
Thank you very much, Felicia.
We are very happy to have you here.
I'm pleased to be here.
Okay, Ms. Nodumo, would want to start our discussion, first of all, by trying to get a general sense of what e-learning is and how exactly it differs from the usual face-to-face learning that we knew growing up.
Yes. E-learning is the use of technology to assist the delivery of teaching and learning. Instead of a professor standing in front of a class to deliver his lectures, these lectures are then delivered through the use of technology. And students can go fully online to learn everything online, ask questions online, submit their assignments online.
Okay.
In other instances, the professor can use it in a blended approach.
Okay, just to catch you, we also hear about blended learning.
Yes.
What exactly is that one and how different is it from the e-learning?
Thank you, Felicia. E-learning remains e-learning, but the blended aspect comes in because a professor is available part of the time to appear face-to-face to his class, and then uses technology for part of the time to deliver the difficult aspects of the training, whether to deliver content or to manage large classes or to deliver testing or quizzes to a large class. Yeah.
So in your view, which is the best approach? Is it better our university go fully e-learning, or we decide to adopt the blended version, which is a mixture of both the face-to-face and the e-learning, like you said? Which is the best approach?
It's situational. If a university is constructed to accept face-to-face students, then what normally happens is that they then use e-learning to support their face-to-face delivery. There are some universities which are created to deliver fully online programs because their target students are broader. It's not just students from a particular country, but they are trying to reach out to as many students as possible.
Okay, viewers, for those of you who just joined us, this is AAU Talks on AAU TV. I'm your host, Felicia Kwagbeji, and currently we are discussing the important issue of e-learning, how best we can implement it in an African university. And with me in the studio is Miss Nodumo Dlamini. Feel free to join us with your comments via our Facebook account, which is Association of African Universities, and also via our Twitter handle at AAU_67, and I'll be glad to read them out. Feel free, I'll be waiting for those comments. So, Miss Nodumo, I think we'll just zoom into our discussion, which has to do with the key issues, or what I need to learn, or what I need to know to be able to effectively implement e-learning. Let's say I'm a vice chancellor and I've decided to move my university forward to the next level of moving from the face-to-face to the e-learning. Where do I start, and how exactly do I start the whole process?
Thank you, Felicia. As we know, the Vice Chancellor is the chief executive of the institution of a university, so he must be at the driving seat in terms of implementing e-learning. The whole process starts with the visioning. The Vice Chancellor must lead the visioning process for e-learning. And this visioning process must be able to answer questions like, why does the university want to do this? When does the university want to do this? Does the university have the resources? And it also results in the creation of a committee or a task force that will actually support the Vice Chancellor to do this. And it allows the whole institution, the different stakeholders, to come on board and understand the vision.
Okay. So from what you are saying, it means leadership plays a very central role. Is that correct?
Leadership is critical, Felicia.
Okay.
Especially the top leadership of the African university.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also in your submission, you made mention that the Vice Chancellor would need to set up a committee and work with this committee.
Yes.
So in a typical African university, which sort of staff or which sort of key directorates would be very central to this committee who would push the e-learning agenda forward?
The Vice Chancellor's office certainly must be represented in the committee, possibly by the Deputy Vice Chancellor. The ICT Directorate must be represented. A member of Senate, one of the deans, must be represented. The Students' Representative Council, the business office must also be represented. What
will be their role in this, the business office?
It's important because when it comes to the financing of the project, they must understand the financial commitments, and they must to answer questions like, why does the university want to do this? When does the university want to do this? Does the university have the resources? And it also results in the creation of a committee or a task force that will actually support the Vice Chancellor to do this. And it allows the whole institution, the different stakeholders, to come on board and understand the vision.
Okay. So from what you are saying, it means leadership plays a very central role. Is that correct?
Leadership is critical, Felicia.
Okay.
Especially the top leadership of the African university.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also in your submission, you made mention that the Vice Chancellor would need to set up a committee and work with this committee.
Yes.
So in a typical African university, which sort of staff or which sort of key directorates would be very central to this committee who would push the e-learning agenda forward?
The Vice Chancellor's office certainly must be represented in the committee, possibly by the Deputy Vice Chancellor. The ICT Directorate must be represented. A member of Senate, one of the deans, must be represented. The Students' Representative Council, the business office must also be represented.
What will be their role in this, the business office?
It's important because when it comes to the financing of the project, they must understand the financial commitments and they must have been part of the process to be able to support the e-learning project.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from the very onset, do external stakeholders also play a role in this?
Stakeholders that are external or so-called external are also critical because they are the ambassadors for the university. They are the ones who will go out there and say, hey, do you know how innovative and creative that university is? Yes, yes.
Possibly through that you can even get new students.
Yes,
maybe.
yes, certainly. Maybe more funding for the e-learning project.
Okay.
Yes.
So now I've understood that I need to get all my stakeholders on board to move with me. What is my next step, or what else do I need to do from that stage?
The committee that has been formed, or the task force, must then visit other institutions that have gone through this journey. This is important so that the university doesn't make the same mistakes that have been made maybe by another institution, and they learn from their processes and make their decisions based on the lessons that have been learned elsewhere. Yes, yeah.
So these will be learning visits?
Yes, 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 yes.
In your experience over the years, or having worked with quite a number of universities in Africa, is it possible to name one or two institutions that you can consider to be shining stars or success stories in this field of e-learning? Institutions that you possibly know they are implementing it in, and then we can learn a thing or two from them. Is it possible?
Yeah, there are some institutions that are doing well, but from my experience, the development of e-learning in a university is not even. You find one college or school is really shining, you find another school or faculty in the same university is not really progressing. But I know universities such as Rhodes University in South Africa, they started this e-learning journey quite a while ago, and they are doing well. Yes, yeah. But of course there are others in the continent that have done a lot of work in this area. I know even in Uganda, there's a Uganda Virtual University that has just been created, and they are also delivering programs fully online. Yes, yeah.
So what happens, and how can you really resolve the issue of one department or one unit being on top and the others not being? What can you do to bring them up to sort of the same level?
I think it goes back to the visioning process. If this is not done properly, then you realize that the institution doesn't move together as one system. There will be pockets of excellence in other departments which are not known or replicated in other departments. Yes.
I can sort of envision the resistance that will come if an institution that is so used to the face-to-face now suddenly decides to move to e-learning. The resistance from the lecturers, from students, from all over. How best can we try to minimize this resistance such that we get everybody on board?
Yes, I think this is the most important thing about e-learning, that it tries to challenge what the professor knows.
Exactly.
So the strategies that normally work is to identify champions within the university that will show the way, that will preach the gospel.
Sure.
It's also important to think of incentives. For example, no, not necessarily money. I remember in the university where I worked, we decided to have a prize for the most innovative professor.
Did it work?
Yeah, and then this prize would be given during the graduation ceremony. And all the professors who were progressive, maybe they would get a new laptop. They would get recognized, you know, during key events within the university. And so there are different ways that we can use champions. And something that I've learned is that professors will listen to one of their own. So if you get a champion of one of the professors actually hand-holding his colleagues, they are bound to listen to him. Yeah.
There's also usually the conception that students or the younger generation, they are much more fast and they are more likely to adapt something like e-learning than the academics. Is this true? Or
it is.
It is.
Yeah, it is true, Felicia. But also we must remember that there are students who grow up not so privileged, who come to universities straight from rural areas, and they might not have the same skills as those students who grow up in towns. So in terms of taking care of them, we need to ensure that there's a lab or a computer lab where students can go and access the content. Let's not assume everyone has access and has the skills.
Which has to do with the issue of inclusiveness.
Yes, yes.
How well does e-learning, or can the university ensure that all the various groups, whether on various angles, be it gender, be it, you know, ability and all of that, how do we ensure full inclusiveness in implementing our e-learning programs?
It's very, very critical. We actually need a disability strategy which is aligned to how do we develop our content. Is the content visible? How does a blind student, for example, use our e-learning programs? Yes, yeah.
Are there other general tips, maybe still in the implementation process of e-learning, other tips to ensure it's really successful and we are not missing out on anything?
Yes, Felicia. I think when the committee or task force comes back from the learning visits, they must do a SWOT analysis to find out what the university has and what the university needs. The status of the infrastructure, the status of the equipment, the skills of the staff, the skills of the students, because this will fit into an implementation plan which will say we want to do A, B, C, D, we need this and that. Yeah.
Okay, so that will be the feedback from the committee that goes out on the field. Okay.
Yes.
So we'll take a break from here. Viewers, this is the AAU Talks, and we are discussing the important issue of e-learning. And with me is Miss Nodumo Dlamini. This is AAU's test transmission, and it's going on this month. Please join us with your views and all your comments. So just before the break, you were talking about the need for feedback. If the committee go out, they do all the assessments, they should get back to the entire system, the leadership, the vice chancellor and all those involved, so that they can move on. So we would want to hear more about the tips and how well, you know, we can carry the process forward.
Yes, Felicia, thank you very much for that. And then after that, it's important that an implementation plan is drawn. The implementation plan will say what needs to be done, when does it need to be done, who needs to do it, what is the budget for that.
Which means it comes with some financial implications.
Yes, yeah.
How big could this be? Is it very expensive to implement e-learning?
It also depends what the SWOT analysis or the review process would have unraveled.
Okay.
For example, if the university doesn't have very good internet connectivity, or doesn't have a computer network, or doesn't have a computer lab, and then the investments can be quite high.
Because then you are starting from the scratch.
Yes, yes, yeah. And also it's important to train the staff, so we need to bring in people who are experienced to actually run a continuous training program. And also work with experts to implement the e-learning system, and also develop the content. It takes quite some time to convert the yellow notes and make them usable online. Yeah. Yes.
Are there some risks associated with implementing e-learning in an institution?
I think the risks are similar to projects where maybe if the champions are not very, very strong, and if the vision is not owned at the top most of the institution, it can fail. So the risk associated with failure and the project not really achieving what it set out to do can be quite significant if there's no ownership. Yes, yeah.
Okay, let's look at the situation of institutions which are not totally new. They've already been implementing e-learning. What can they do differently, or how can they improve on their current practices?
It's very important to have a review strategy, a review and monitoring strategy, a feedback process. So institutions that are already doing it need to step back and see whether what they set out to do is actually being achieved. What are they learning? Where do they need to make these improvements? Because it's important that institutions must move towards a high level of maturity in terms of the use of technology for teaching and learning, because there are different stages of implementation. Yes.
Okay, so we would have your final words and then we'll end our discussion.
Thank you very much, Felicia. I call upon the universities, particularly the vice chancellors, to champion the development of e-learning in their institutions, and to support the process of implementation, and to prioritize the resources that are required to implement e-learning. It must not just be e-learning for the sake of e-learning, but e-learning must be implemented to improve teaching and learning in research in our universities. It's very critical that our universities move to the current century's methods of teaching and learning and not be left behind. E-learning would be very useful for addressing the quality issues associated with delivering content to huge numbers of students.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Nodumod Lamini. We are very glad to have hosted you on the show, and we look forward to hosting you again.
Thank you very much, Felicia.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, viewers, there you have it. We've had quite a very exciting discussion on how important it is to implement e-learning, and Ms. Nodumo has given us quite a number of tips. She spoke about how central leadership is in the whole implementation process. She spoke about the need to even undertake a SWOT analysis from the start, the need to set up a committee would sort of engage in some learning visits to institutions that are shining stars who are doing well. And she gave us very important tips. It's been good, and we look forward to hosting a second version of this show soon. And I would urge you to stay tuned. This has been AAU Talks, and the topic for discussion has been implementing e-learning in an African university. Stay tuned. This is AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa. I'm Felicia Kwagbeji. Welcome viewers to another exciting edition of the AAU Talks. This is AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa. I'm Felicia Kwagbeji, and I'll be your host for this session. The AAU television was established by the Association of African Universities to serve as one of its key communication channels in keeping its stakeholders and its network informed. But how much do we know about the mother company, the Association of African Universities itself? What exactly does the AAU do? Who are the members of the AAU, and where are these members coming from? What are some of the benefits if an institution decides to join the AAU? With me in the studio trying to take a step into the AAU to understand what AAU does and where its members are coming from, and all of those questions, is Ms. Nodumod Lamini. She's the Director of ICT, Communications and Knowledge Management at the Association of African Universities. Welcome to the studio, Ms. Nodumod.
Thank you, Felicia.
Okay, may we know how long you've worked with the Association of African Universities?
I've been here for close to 3 years, as at end of May 2018.
Okay.
Yes.
So what exactly does the AAU do, or who is the AAU?
The AAU is a network of African universities. It covers the 5 regions of Africa: North Africa, West, Central, East, and the southern part. It's basically an association that recognizes the power of collaboration, the power of networking.
Okay.
That's why it was created,
okay,
so that universities can work together, can collaborate, can learn from each other.
Okay.
Yes.
And when was the AAU formed, and who formed the AAU, if we should ask?
The AAU was formed in November 1967 in Rabat, Morocco.
Which means you are about 50 or 51 years old?
We are 51 years as of November this year.
That's
yes,
interesting to know.
Yes.
Okay.
But in terms of the creation, there were previous conversations about the creation of the association, and these conversations began in Sudan. At the University of Khartoum.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. Yes, yeah.
So how many universities or higher education institutions came together to form the association?
At that time, I believe universities in Africa did not exceed 50.
Okay.
So 34 of these universities decided to create the association.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many members do you have now?
We are currently at 400 members spread out across the continent.
Okay.
Both private and public universities.
Okay.
Yes.
But I should think that there are thousands of universities across the continent. So how come you have 400 members? Is there a criteria which, or is there something which stops you from getting more members?
I think The reason is because there's a criteria. Universities that are accepted as members must be accredited institutions to be a full member. If you are accredited but you've not graduated your first batch of students, you can't be a full member, but you can be an associate.
Okay, so just, which means you have classifications of your membership?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
And these are?
Full membership, full members, and associate members.
So which institutions qualify as full members and which institutions qualify as associates? What's the difference?
For a university to be a full member, it must be accredited, it must have graduated the first batch of its student, and it must have been reviewed by our board and approved by the General Conference. Yes, yeah. And then for a university to be an associate, it must be accredited, but maybe at that time they would not yet have graduated their first batch of students. Yeah.
You spoke about approval by your board and also by your General Conference.
Yes.
Do they speak into the governance structure of this, the board and the governor, the General Conference? Makes me understand, or I get an understanding sort of that there is some governing structure governing the association. Can you walk us through this governing structure? Okay,
the governance structure, the secretariat is here in Ghana and is led by the Secretary General. The Secretary General is a non-ex-officio member of the Board of Directors of the association. The Board of Directors includes representation from the 5 regions of Africa. And then there's a smaller executive board out of the larger board that works closely with the Secretariat to deliver on the mission of the association. But once every 4 years there's a General Conference. This is the highest governing instrument of the association. It makes decisions in terms of the agenda and the focus of the association.
And who are those who make up the General Conference? Are these your members? I want to know how your members are involved in the governing process.
Yes, the members attend the General Conference and they vote. If they are in good standing. They make decisions based on the direction of the association.
And how often is this meeting?
Every 4 years.
So they need to wait every 4 years before they can attend an AAU conference, which is bringing all of them together for decision making. Or in between, there are other meetings or other forums, sort of.
In between, there are other forums, there are other meetings, but in terms of deciding the agenda of the association is done once every 4 years. And as a secretariat, we regularly reach out to our members. We run a newsletter, we do surveys, we do workshops. So it's not that we are not in touch with our members. Yeah, we are.
I think I also read about your conference of rectors, vice chancellors, and presidents of African universities. How can you tell us a bit about that, and how regular is that one to held?
Once every 2 years, we have a conference of rectors, vice chancellors, and presidents of African universities. We bring about 400 vice chancellors, rectors, and presidents. And in this conference, it's a networking conference, it's a collaboration conference, it's sort of a high-level conference where vice chancellors can meet with their colleagues and understand what is going on in the different regions of Africa and universities pertaining to higher education.
That's interesting to note. Also, in your submission, you made mention of the AAU Secretariat being based in Accra, Ghana. We want to know whether you have offices in the other countries or in the other regions. How do you really make sure that you are working closely with your members spread across the other regions?
Thank you for that question. I think it keeps coming back to us. We have noticed that it's important to decentralize the operations of the association.
True.
So the board of directors approved the creation of regional offices for the association. The first regional office has been set up in East Africa and is hosted by the University of Khartoum in Sudan.
Started.
Yes, where the association actually started. So we've gone back to the roots. Yes, yeah. And then other associations have been planned for North Africa, for Southern Africa, and possibly Central Africa. But in West Africa, we will not have. Because we are here. Yes,
makes quite some good sense. Okay, so we want to now move into your programs.
Yeah.
In terms of want to get an understanding of what exactly the AAU is doing for its members, and if I'm a member of the association, what am I really benefiting from the association?
Okay, I think the biggest thing that we do as an association, we provide a platform, a large platform for universities to collaborate, a large platform for the different categories of people within a university to know their colleagues in other regions of Africa and to work together. So that's the biggest value add of the association. The higher education industry in Africa needs such a platform to be able to work together. And then, of course, we run a number of programs. These programs, we implement them together with our development partners and also specifically with the African Union Commission. Our agenda is largely informed by the African Union Commission's agenda on higher education in Africa. So one of the programs that we are implementing with the African Union Commission is on quality assurance, because quality is our agenda as an association. We were set up to support, to improve the quality of higher education in Africa. Then, of course, we work to implement the continental education strategy for Africa, which was also developed with in collaboration with the African Union Commission. Then, in terms of programs that we implement with donor partners and others, they hinge on academic mobility, staff mobility, capacity building for the universities in the various areas. Yes, yeah.
All right, viewers, this has been an interesting interaction. I'm currently hosting Miss Nodumod Lamini, who is walking us through the Association of African Universities. She's explaining what the AAU does, and she's emphasized the important role of the AAU in providing a network for fostering and trying to improve collaboration among African universities. She's also told us about the membership and some of the criteria that is required in admitting institutions into the AAU. Please feel free to join us with your comments via Facebook at Association of African Universities, and also via our Twitter handle at AAU_67, and I'll be glad to read them out. Welcome back, Miss Nodumo.
Thank you, Felicia.
I think I was asking what an institution stands to benefit by joining the association, and you were talking about the programs.
Yes.
Yes. So if you can please go on with the program, and then you delve specifically into benefits for joining the AAU.
Yes. I'll just mention two other programs which I think are critical. We also have an ICT, information technology or knowledge management related program. We host the database of African theses and dissertations, which is an online database which aims to harvest the research outputs from our member institutions and profile them. We also work with our member countries to support the development of ICT infrastructure in the member countries through the national research and education networks. And then we also provide information, we collect, we disseminate information related to African higher education, just as this a television program has been started. Exactly. It's an endeavor to ensure we stay in touch with our member universities. Okay. Concerning the benefits are quite many. Okay. One of the benefits is to be part of the platform. Okay. To be part of the platform so that you can network, you can collaborate with others, you can know them. Sure. You can receive our news. Sure. You can receive information that is pertaining to what you do on a day-to-day basis. I think this is self-explanatory. Sure. Because all industries value sort of continuous professional development and networking among people in the same area. Okay. Other benefits are we advertise quite a number of programs. We advertise staff exchange programs. Okay. We advertise scholarships. Okay. We advertise small grants. But these are competitive and they are open to the members exclusively. Okay. But the members then apply to be able to get some of these. And we also, members also benefit from specific projects that we implement. For instance? For example, here in Ghana, we're implementing currently the faculty demographics project. Okay. And we're working closely with our members. And the output of that project in terms of...
But what is that project, if you could just briefly explain? Okay. That project.
The project aims to map academic faculty in Ghana. Okay. And then be able to project the faculty needs. Okay. For universities in Ghana, for the benefit of the vice chancellors here in Ghana, okay. And also for the benefit of the government of Ghana in terms of planning. Okay. Yes.
I was about to ask if it's targeting to help in succession planning. Sort of.
Yes. Okay. Succession planning and understand the capacities. Okay. Do we have sufficient capacities for the education system here in Ghana? Okay. So when that output is finalized, it's a tool that the leadership of universities here in Ghana can use. Okay. Yes.
So do you work with Francophones and those from the Arabophone countries as well?
We do. Actually, the association doesn't just use English. Okay. There are other official languages which are French, Arabic and Portuguese. Okay. So we work with those universities and we endeavor to communicate. Okay, sure. Yes.
So as a student in an African university, if my institution is a member of the AAU, what do I stand to benefit?
You stand to know about the scholarship programs that we are running. Sure. You can apply for those scholarship programs. Okay. You also stand to participate in a number of youth forums. For example, we regularly issue calls for social media reporters targeting students in our universities to participate and support the visibility campaign of the association, but at the same time gain a working experience.
Which is very good.
Yes, yeah. Okay. And we are also planning specific more programs around the youth and the students so that we get their voice coming in terms of what are the issues that the students are facing. Okay. How can we reconstruct the programs that the universities deliver? Remember, they are a very key stakeholder. Exactly. The universities are there for them, not students. Just for...
Of course.
Yes, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I also want to find out, usually for associations, all other associations that we join on a personal level, it comes with some membership dues payment of a sort.
Yeah.
Is it the same with the AAU?
It is. It is. Full members pay $3,000 annually. I believe associate members pay $2,500 annually. Yeah, so yes, there are dues, and these dues we really use them to service the network, because it needs resources for us to implement programs for the network, whether it's capacity building or bringing them together. Or responding to some of the challenges. Yeah.
So just to wrap up the session, I would be glad if you could direct us to places or resources where, if we want to join the association, we can get further information.
Okay. If a university wants to join, you go to our website, https://aau.org. There's a link right on the front of the page which says members or membership. You click on that link, and then you scroll down. You will see an area where you can apply online. Even when you click on members, it says, how do I join AAU? You can go straight into that, and then there's an online application form. You fill in this form. The form needs you to collaborate as an institution to complete it, because some information you need to get it from the different parts. Yeah. When you submit it, we then review it, and then we get back to you if we need any more information. Then it's submitted to the board executive, who makes the initial decision whether you are admissible or you are not. And then we communicate to you the results. Yeah.
And from there they start to benefit from the association if they are admitted, if they are qualified.
Yes, then we add you to our mailing list. And then we put your name on the website, on our website. Then we contact you if there are opportunities that relate to the members. Yes.
Okay, viewers. So it's been a very exciting session. I've hosted Ms. Nodumod Lamini in trying to understand the Association of Africa Universities, what exactly they do, and what members stand to benefit from joining the AAU. This has been the AAU Talks with me, Felicia Kwagbeji. Thanks for staying tuned.
Hello, Africa. Welcome to the AAU Talks here on the AAU TV. And this is our second edition of our test run. We are ensuring that our AAU TV streams are on point. And we want to welcome all viewers to the second day of our test run. Today in the studio again, I have Dr. Violet Makuku, who is the Quality Assurance Specialist in African Higher Education here at the AAU headquarters in Ghana. We are still going deeper into the issues of quality assurance in African higher education. But today we'll be switching to another sector in quality assurance where Dr. Makuku will do justice to the subject for us. Dr. Makuku, you are welcome.
Thank you, Kwesi. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm good.
And I know you are ready for our viewers this morning.
Yes, I was even laughing and saying, despite being test runs, we already are giving you valuable information that you take seriously whilst you are checking on us and how we are doing as we are starting our TV programs.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So yesterday we were looking at issues of quality assurance in African higher education. We looked at how we can ensure that institutions are providing nothing but quality services to our students and other stakeholders as well. But today we want to move into another sector where we will be looking at what are the strategies, what is happening currently, what are the resources, what are the strategies, and what is the plan that you have for quality assurance in African higher education. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Kwesi. I think quality assurance at the core is the institutional quality assurance system unit. For those who don't have finances, maybe they can start with a quality assurance committee. Why? Because if it was in biology, I would liken it to a cell.
Okay.
In physics, I would liken it to an atom. That is the smallest building block upon which everything else would happen. And if you also check, the quality assurance system in the institution is just stationed where things are happening in terms of higher education. Remember, it is that which is happening in the institutions which we are checking quality of delivery, teaching and learning, quality of research, quality of infrastructure, and all that.
Okay, so when you pick the university setup, you know we have different segments and a different department of the university.
Yes.
Which areas do you cater for? Are you looking at only the teaching and learning? Are you even looking at the infrastructure itself? For example, if the university is putting up a lab or a laboratory, does quality assurance come in to make sure that it is really, it serves the purpose of a lab and everything?
Thank you, Kwesi. You know, people mix these things. There's quality control and quality assurance.
Good.
Quality control, you are making your cup, and at the end process, you are selecting the cups that are deformed.
Okay.
But with quality assurance, you are saying from the onset, where you are selecting what will make up this cup, who will make the cup, and as it moves from being molded into a cup, putting the handle, putting the paint, putting the design, until we get a final cup, we are not expecting to get a final cup which is deformed. Because every stage of the process is monitored and checked and corrections are done. So it's not wasteful. That's the beauty of quality assurance. And nobody normally is punished for it. We just want to say a stitch saves 9. Where we are noticing some challenges or some loopholes, we try some gaps, we try to plug them.
Okay, so when you pick the university settings, and even at the national level, you know, there are times that the national quality assurance agencies will publish universities that are not accredited, or publish universities that are not living up to the expectations. There are some of the universities that are accredited, but some also have academic programs that are not accredited. What must be the roadmap? If you pick up a university, how should quality assurance unit look like?
Thank you very much, Kwesi. Before I just delve into the quality assurance system, I just want to take you back a bit to say the whole institution should have a quality culture.
All right.
And I've realized there's a huge problem that when people are in operation in the universities or anywhere else, they want to separate quality from their day-to-day operations, processes and procedures. But quality assurance and quality should be embedded
in everything.
In everything that we do. And I want to stress that quality assurance is nothing other than doing right when no one is looking. You should also feel that I've done the best. That's why sometimes you hear the terms best practices. We want to emulate best practices. But again, I always say, let's leave room and just say good practices so that we continue to leave room for improvement. Now, coming to the quality assurance unit, we say we want robust systems. What are robust systems? It's not like you are concentrating on lecturers alone. That's where student evaluations are happening. That's where appraisals are happening. That's where peer evaluation is happening. And this is the reason why they just label it policing. Because it's like it's targeting a small group of people. And yet it should be the whole institution, the whole university community, and how they are doing the day-to-day business. Do you know that even for the maintenance section, they should have their quality assurance processes and procedures, which can easily be monitored. If we get to an extent where we have a building opening up and a crack is growing wider and wider, it means the maintenance people are not doing
check quality.
No quality assurance. And yet they should do the inspections to reduce and minimize losses.
Then it means QA plays a key role in the entire setup of the university.
Yes.
And you know, most of our universities do not have quality assurance unit.
I told you in an earlier discussion that it's a rugged terrain. Whereby in some instances you have countries and institutions which are far much ahead in terms of the quality culture. And they make it very, very important. And we have other institutions which are yet to establish quality assurance unit.
So
units, they don't even have the quality assurance committee, which could be made up of deans and what to take care of. Although in general, if you scout through, you will find that there are some quality assurance measures. But if you have a coordinating unit which makes sure that the sequence it is done in an orderly manner, there's documentation and effective communication on quality issues through the quality assurance unit or directorate. Can't you see that it's quality?
Yes, it is. But we will be going into more of the AQRM. But then before that, if there's any university or institution watching us which doesn't have a keyway set up in their institutions, can you, in a space of maybe a minute, show us what must be done from the scratch, what must be done at the middle level and what it should look like?
Thank you very much, Kwesi. You know, I know people always say quality assurance is expensive, but when I look at it in some other talk show, maybe we are going to talk more about it. Because when you look at it, you can start with a quality assurance committee. If you say you don't have money to establish a directorate yet, and then this quality assurance committee could be made up of deans and directors, student representation, management, and also we have the different levels of staff, let it be secretaries and middle management. We should have at least have some representation
okay.
of the key university community groups.
Okay.
Because I told you quality assurance should be universal.
Exactly.
So these people, even technicians too, when they come into the quality assurance committee, they are presenting quality issues and they are being digested by this committee.
The committee.
And I want to quickly and hasten to say that even those institutions who have got quality assurance directorates and units, they still need this committee.
Exactly.
Because it's a committee which is representative of the university community. And it is a committee which can help run the quality issues, bringing from the individual units and levels in the department to bring it here at university level, because it's a committee for the whole university. So when they bring it, they digest the quality issues together, such that it helps the quality assurance unit not to say they own
the entire process.
No. It's a shared process.
Okay.
They are only maybe driving it because, you know, under normal circumstances, it should be the deputy vice chancellor or deputy president academic, or even the vice chancellor himself or herself who is chairing.
Okay.
And we need an organogram to show that the connections of communication lines and things, so that we don't have this conflict.
Okay.
You know, people sometimes they focus on positions and of power and what, but at the end of the day, it's not that we are looking at. Let's take it separately as an entity, and then we move on. They need tools which they use to collect different data from students, from different staff members, and they also need people who have a strong background in research methods and statistics. Because if we collect data and we put it there, it's useless. We need to analyze the data so that, yes, it informs us of our strengths as an institution, our weaknesses, and the way forward. So in terms of our university policy, strategic plan, we can draw from what we are collecting from the data we are collecting from the different sectors of the institution. So it's quite powerful. We also need people who are attached or linked to faculties and directorates. For
everyday processes.
And what. And you see, sometimes because of we want to cut on costs, one person can represent 3 faculties and maybe a service department, depending on the size of the institution. But that is doable.
All right, I think that is fantastic. But let's move into AQRM, which is I know it's your passion, and you've done a good job in that area. That is the African rating, African quality rating mechanism.
Yes.
What does it seek to do to ensure quality in African higher education?
Thank you very much, Kwesi. I think I want to elaborate more on this African quality rating mechanism. People want to know, what is it? What are the benefits of undertaking an AQRM? From now on, may you allow me to use AQRM as to shorten the African quality rating mechanism.
Fair.
And also, you want to look at how does it help us in terms of our day-to-day operations in the institutions, and also in relation to our quality assurance agencies, our professional bodies, and the ministry. What I want to stress is that everything that happens in terms of quality and operations, processes and procedures in an institution is not like it's happening in a vacuum or it's independent of other external pressures and pushes. So what we would want to do is to rightly point out to the quality assurance agencies that they need to work, the quality assurance unit needs to work with professional bodies.
Okay.
Because there are regulations and what. The professional bodies like the law societies, like the medical, the engineers societies, because when students graduate, they are going to work with those people. They are the ones who will certify them to go into the field. I also go to regional bodies like Kames, like Sarua, like Sakwan, like SADC, and also the IUCA, the Inter-University Community of East Africa,
sure.
Kames, Arab Network. These ones also have got some level of pressure they are giving to their regional universities.
Okay.
And they should be an interconnectedness and a close network and working closely together to have this harmonization and uniformity so that on the same subject we don't have discord.
Okay, all right.
So it's the job of the internal quality assurance to make sure they are. The national accreditation bodies and also the ministries, they are a big stakeholder.
Okay.
And they need to be consulted. And so that's another one. Why am I giving you this broad thing? It's so that when I talk about the depth of AQRM and what it does, people have got a broader perspective that it's not happening in isolation. So if we are now to move to the African quality rating mechanism and what it does to institutions, it's an internal quality improvement tool or process or activity. We want to improve our institution. We want to improve every sector, every department, and every activity that is happening in the institution. And it's through this AQRM that we can achieve that.
So who developed the tool, the validation processes? What work has been done to ensure that the tool, if we are looking at the psychometric properties of the tool, everything is intact and it would actually come up to solve exactly what you have envisaged?
Thank you. This tool was developed by the African Union Commission, a section which deals with higher education. And in 2010, they took some 10 universities and piloted it. The results were analyzed and the tool was improved. Now, under the harmonization of African higher education quality assurance and accreditation, HAQUA initiative, which is an initiative that came out of a joint political relationship between European Union Commission and African Union Commission. We had 15 institutions from 15 different countries that were again involved with this improved tool. So we want to continuously improve it. Earlier on, when it started, there were no experts involved. But when we did this one in 2017 from June, we now had experts who had to physically go to the institutions and do some inspections to check what was happening. And so I think at a point I will explain in detail the processes and procedures that are involved.
I think let's go into the processes. If a university, are you calling on universities to adopt the tool? What are you doing with the tool now in terms of the processes and the procedures? I think that will help our viewers and our universities, if someone is interested, what it does, what is it about, and if I would want to invite you to my university to make sure that you do some kind of survey using the tool to achieve the purpose of QA. What are the processes?
Thank you, Kwesi. Before I just delve into the details, I want to tell the African higher education community that if we don't quickly adopt some initiatives and these activities that are coming in onto our doorsteps, we will find ourselves irrelevant and obsolete.
Absolutely.
And some institutions will move forward, have more students than us, and then we'll start closing up, closing down, because students are also now moving and checking where there's quality.
Exactly.
Why am I saying this? It's because if today is your first time to hear about AQRM, you have a passion and ambition to get hold of it, you can Google on the internet, you say African Quality Rating Mechanism. It's in French and English.
Okay.
And then you can look into the tool and see how it is like. It's a questionnaire. First of all, we give the institution a questionnaire. And then in this questionnaire, there is data about the institution which is requested.
Okay.
There is data about governance. There is data about statistics of staff, of students, of degree programs, and there's also sections where they are completing about their research, internationalization, the teaching and learning. There are a lot of aspects, Kwesi.
Okay.
And among these aspects, we are really looking at what is happening under each and every one of the major aspects. Like if I take teaching and learning, we are looking at the do we have professors and how many MSc holders and things like that. Then we are going on to say, how often do they do curricular review? All those things, any new programs, how are they responding to the needs of society? Because, you know, they should not be ivory towers.
Exactly.
Universities are there to
solve the issues of society.
That's true. Socio-economic development, sustainable development. So we have a lot. We also check on their community engagement. You have a faculty of in agriculture and environmental science. You have all the natural resources you need. Say you are in the equatorial region, but you are not reaching out to the immediate community to help them boost their production of plantain or what, and keeping their environment clean. You become an ivory tower. So it looks into this university industry linkages. So if you are doing these researches, are you going to approach industry to say, these are the results that we have and recommendations for this? Can we work together so that for internship or placement, you get your students there? Okay.
So if a university gets this tool, you know, sometimes, you know, that there are two options. Either you adopt it or you adapt it. Is it a straitjacket that you cannot really adapt it to suit the standards in your university, or you must go straightly to the requirements of the tool? I don't know if my question is clear.
It's clear. The way it is structured, Kwesi, is such that can I give an example?
Yeah.
To say, if I look at university governance, under it, I'm checking, do they have a vision? Do they have a mission? Do they have a strategic plan? In terms of the deans and management, are they balancing gender issues? So these are the small items which come under each, where we are checking on these aspects. And so we have a heading, a broader area, and then we are looking into the nitty-gritties. And there are rows and columns. Columns where they are scoring themselves. To say, I think on governance, we have a vice-chancellor who is male and a deputy vice-chancellor who is female, and our deans is 50-50 or 30-40. So we are fairly doing well. They give themselves maybe a 3.
All right. And so Doc, after rating, finally after rating, they submit the tool back to you.
Yes.
You analyze, and then what do you do with the data?
Thank you very much, Kwesi. When they complete the tool, we are saying for all the evidence that they've used, because experts will later go to the institutions and check on the what we call the verification process. So they need to take that AQRM questionnaire that has been completed, and they are going to check physically every document that has been used as evidence to complete the questionnaire. And then there is a column for experts to rescore.
So Doc, finally, if a university is interested in getting this tool to ensure that their universities are up to the standards, where can they access the tool? Do you have any contact? I don't know where they can access the tool from.
Okay, before that question, can I just add a few more important key points?
But within 1 minute, because our time is running out.
On the process. So that at least they have a broader view of what happened. So what I've said, when they've completed the AQRM tool, they rate themselves, and they send it to AAU. We send it to the experts too to look and raise further questions. And then at an agreed date, the experts are going to the institution to do the verification process. And in that during that process, they look at the documents, as I've said, and they are rescoring also alongside. And when they are done with that, they do interviews. Before the rescoring, actually, they do interviews with students, with staff, with lecturers, with management, and they get more insight into the institutional quality assurance in general. That's when they can rescore. After that, they then have an oral presentation and a report that they will give to the institution. But can I stress, it's an process that is meant to improve the institution.
Not to victimize them.
Not to victimize them. And it's not a ranking tool, but it prepares the institutions for ranking and also for accreditation of new programs or the 5-year cycle. So I encourage the institutions to take on
board. So finally, if a university wants to get access to it, where do they go? Before we wrap up, where do they go?
I think now the link is too long, Kwesi. What I would advise them is that for the tool itself, in English and French, they just type on the internet and they access the tool. And for AAU to do the be able
analysis
to
and everything,
show us that they are interested in us doing an institutional evaluation for them, they can contact me at vmakuku@aau.org. Also, my WhatsApp number is +233 263 129798, because there's a lot. Then I can give them the links, or on an email I can give them the link to where they start the process with AAU.
Thank you very much.
In the Association of African Universities.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Makuku, for spending your time with us. And I think this has been very much insightful. I think we need to schedule another session where you would have the opportunity to also express the views and everything on this subject. Thank you very much. Viewers, I've been speaking to Dr. Makuku, who is the quality assurance expert here at the Association of African Universities, and we have been looking at the quality assurance rating mechanism, which at the end of the day would improve systems and standards in African higher education. This has been the AAU Talks on AAU TV. My name is Kwesi Sam, with the Directorate of Research and Academic Planning here at the Association of African Universities. There are a lot of programs and activities lined up for you, and so don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll bring you some on research, we'll bring you some news on higher education, and some other interesting issues surrounding African higher education. Until you see me next time, this is AAU TV, and stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello viewers, welcome to AAU Talks on AAU TV. We are live on Facebook, so you can join us on Facebook, visit our page Association of African Universities, and you will catch us live. Today we are discussing a very interesting topic. We are in a world of automation. We interact more with computers than we interact with other people. So today we are going to talk about the language which we use to interact with computers. With me to discuss this topic, I have a lady from the Association of African Universities who is the systems developer with AAU. She goes by the name Miss Georgina Mason. Miss Georgina Mason.
Yes.
Welcome to AAU TV.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Miss Mason, let's get into the discussion. There's a buzz about coding, programming. Please demystify what coding is for us.
Okay, so basically, coding is writing lines of code to communicate with your computer.
Okay.
So let's say I have something I want my computer to help me do. If I write lines of code, the computer would process it and would act according to what codes I wrote.
Okay, so let's just say it's something similar to maybe communicating to somebody in French or in Spanish.
Exactly, like exactly. It's basically communicating with your computer.
Okay, okay. So there is this term going around. Software developer, systems developer, we have somebody who codes. Is there a difference between these terms going around?
Well, most people like to use some of these terms interchangeably. Like most people will call a programmer a systems developer or a software engineer. And others also prefer to have a little distinction where a programmer is not exactly a systems developer and a systems developer is not exactly a software engineer, in the sense that a programmer is mostly the one writing the hardcore codes, and the systems developer is looking at the more general, broader perspective, the documentations that go along with it.
Okay.
So.
All right. So as a trainee working with AAU as a systems developer, let's get practical. What are some of the things you do at AAU?
Okay. So at AAU, I am in charge of managing some of their online systems.
Okay.
We have systems to, for when we start application calls for some of our grants that we give, we have systems that are in charge of those, that receive those applications from the users. I manage those systems and maintain them. Okay,
so right now we need to get into this question about who needs coding skills.
In my opinion, everyone does.
Okay.
Everyone from the CEO to the small boy in class 4.
All right. All right, that is interesting. So let's get into the gender dimension.
Okay.
You are a woman.
Yes, I am.
In ICT.
Yes.
A systems developer. So how does it feel to be a woman in this position as a systems developer?
Oh, it feels great, actually. Initially, when I started out, I didn't really notice the fact that there were very few women in IT. But later on, the boys made sure I noticed.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, but it was fun.
Okay.
In the beginning. Now I'm used to it, most of it. So, like in school, out of 100 students, about 10 of us were women.
Oh, wonderful.
All of them were boys. So, but I believe now, through education, more women are going into IT. So, I'm grateful for that.
It's interesting that more women are going into IT.
Yeah.
Now we are in a world of automation.
Yeah, we are.
All right. Now I am scared I'm going to lose my job because my job is quite routine, or maybe somebody, a banker, is scared to lose his or her job. Now, how does it affect you as a systems developer in this world of automation?
So, as you said, you are scared you will lose your job. The beauty of it is you might not lose it immediately because you would have to work with a programmer who would see your daily activities, and then maybe your job might be automated. So the beauty of it is I might automate your job for you.
Oh, okay. So what you're trying to say is, if you're a systems developer, you are always going to be in control. You are now going to be in job.
Most often.
There's going to be demand for systems developers more.
Yes,
now.
there would be a high demand until we get automated.
Oh, okay.
But yes,
so
there would be.
No, let's know, what role as a systems developer, what role are you going to play in this automated world?
So basically, my role is to look around in my organization, look at the tasks that people have to perform and find ways to help them do that in an easy manner.
Okay.
So if I can help you by creating a system where when you go on the system, all your daily activities are on there and you get to do all your work on there, and that way your job becomes easy for you, then I am doing my job well.
Okay, that's quite interesting. So how is it learning a different language, how to communicate with a computer? It must be very difficult. Or is it something different we're talking about here?
I don't believe it's difficult. I find it really easy. What you just need to know are the basics. So once you know some of the basic things that don't really change across all the languages, you are good to go to learn PHP, to learn Java.
Okay.
Because the basic things like if, loops, they all stay the same throughout all the languages.
You mentioned PHP. You mentioned Java.
Yeah.
What are those?
Those are programming languages.
Okay.
Yeah, high-level languages.
Oh, okay. So just like we have interacting with human beings, we have
French and English.
we have Spanish, we have English.
Yes.
When you're communicating with a computer, we have Java, we have
PHP.
Python,
Yes.
PHP. Okay, that is interesting. Okay, viewers, in case you just joined us, we're having a discussion on coding skills for everyone. And with me in the house is Miss Georgina Mason. Miss Georgina Mason.
Yes.
Let's continue. I understand AAU as a capacity building institution. You are organizing a workshop around coding for everyone. So the topic is coding for everyone.
Yes.
Please give us an overview of this workshop you're organizing.
So the workshop we're organizing is just to provide an introductory system for our participants who would come on. It's not going to teach anyone how to be a programmer. It's just introductory so that people develop the interest in learning how to code.
Okay. So what is the rationale?
Yes, so we noticed that most people, me for instance, I didn't know about coding until I was a little older.
Okay.
And it happens a lot for most of our children. They see the computers, the phones, they see the games on them, they can play, but they don't really get into the science. We don't get into the science of learning how to create our own things.
Oh, okay.
So the whole concept of the coding skills for everyone is to teach everyone that you are more than capable of building the system for yourself, and it's also to help people understand what goes into coding. So if you have someone like a CEO of a company coming for that workshop, they would better understand the job of the IT team in their company. So when they come with, that we need this amount of time to complete our task, they would understand why. So it will improve your digital literacy to come for such a workshop.
Okay, so right now, are we targeting the old, the young? What is the target group?
The beauty of it is anyone can come.
Okay.
So we are targeting people 13 years and older.
Okay.
So any of them are welcome for our event.
It's very interesting because when you go out there, you know, in a more sophisticated world, the other countries, developed countries, we have kids who are now developing apps, you know, developing games here and there. So going forward, after this your workshop, do you have anything like developing, saying, coding challenge for kids or maybe people who will be interested?
It's something we might have to look at, but I hope so. Even if we as AAU would not organize something like that, there are institutions in Ghana here that offer such benefits and such opportunities for people. So we would help and we would give advice on how to learn how to code if you are interested in it.
All right. So tell us something interesting about coding. I know there's more interest in coding. So what's interesting in coding?
One of the interesting things for me is the fact that when it comes to coding, in my opinion, there's really no right way of coding. Everyone has their own opinion on how a program should, a line of code should be written. So what I mean is, if we have a problem to solve, the way you would write the code to solve that problem might be different from the way I would write it, but we would still get at the same aim.
Okay, so it's just like I can use a PHP to write a code, and then you will use Java to write a code, and it will mean the same thing. Is that what you're
Yes, it would basically perform the same purpose, yes.
Oh, okay. So that means you can specialize either in Java or in PHP, or it's just a package. Once you go in there, you learn everything.
No, you may not have to learn everything. You just look at the field in which you want to learn, the market in which you want to go into. So if you want to be a web developer, for instance, there are certain things that you need to know. You need to know CSS. You need to know HTML. You need to know PHP a little. You need to know a little of JavaScript. So depending on what exactly you want to do, that would determine which languages would help you.
Okay, we were going to go into all these details. We were mentioning PHP, whatever. You were mentioning some abbreviations, but then let's spare that for the workshop, which is coming on. So give us some details about the workshop. Cost, dates, you know, location where you're organizing it.
We are organizing it here at the Association of African Universities at East Legon in Ghana here. And it would be in August. August. Yes, 15th to 16th August. So for the cost and how to register, I would ask that our viewers would visit blogs.aau.org. The information on how to register and how much it would cost would be uploaded on there.
I just hope it wouldn't be something expensive, because this is for everyone.
It wouldn't be. It would be very cost effective.
All right. Finally, before I make you say your final words, they say every programmer has a favorite programming language or coding language. What is your favorite language?
Well, I don't know if I have a favorite, but I think I am very in the moment, so I like what I use in the moment. When I was in school and I was studying Java, I liked Java. When I was studying SQL, I liked SQL, maybe because I had a very good teacher at that time. And now I'm using a lot more PHP, so I would say I like PHP.
Viewers, in case you just joined us, we were talking about coding skills for everyone, and the fact that the AAU is organizing a workshop on coding skills for everyone in August. So you can keep up by visiting AAU blog, and then you have all the information about this upcoming workshop for coding skills. Miss Mason.
Yes.
Your final words.
Okay, so all I would like to leave our viewers with is you are not too old or too young to start learning how to code. You can start learning even as young as 5 years old. So don't limit yourself because of age, and don't limit yourself because it's a language it's in English, or we have parts of it in English. Don't limit yourself to things like that. And there are several resources that would help you learn how to code. All you have to do is believe in yourself, search, find those, and learn.
Okay. All right, viewers, as she said, technology is dominating our world right now. Learning basic computer programming isn't just a skill, isn't just an idea, a good idea. It's a skill that both the grown-ups and children need. Once again, this is AAU TV, and this is AAU Talk. I'm your host, Ankuma Schneider.